Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin. This is by Haley Comet, Justice for Jay Slater have been marked and then ends up dead. Let's get straight into this.
Now, what I find most frustrating is there's been some massive bits of information that have come out over the last 6 weeks, and yet nobody said anything about it. Now, creators obviously have talked about it, but no family members have commented on it. Nobody in the media has really commented largely on it. So you have a 19-year-old boy who, on the evening that he will go on to die, says that he feels he's been marked and sends out messages. We have him hours later sending messages to friends where he's armed himself with knives, which I told people about last year and no one believed, but that was confirmed at the inquest that yes, Jay did arm himself at the Airbnb apparently with knives because he was scared. We then had Ayub Qasim, through Mark Williams Thomas's podcast, come out and say that Jay had actually stole a large bag of drugs off him. And yet Jay's body was not found with any bag of drugs from any kind of report I can find, which means at some point somebody stopped Jay, if that is true at all. They stopped him and took back their property. And then the boy ends up down a ravine with a horrific head injury.
So the thing is, if that, just say that was deemed to be true, what Haley Comet is actually saying, it's just a theory. If that was deemed to be true, surely maybe that hammer attack would sort of ring a few bells in the, in what happened in Mascot at the time, if he was actually chased, if he wasn't there and was chased. The problem I've got is that, there's not one eyewitness, other eyewitness. If someone else has said, the public has said, look, I did see a guy, he looked a bit worried in a rush and he did look like Jay Slater. One other public person that's not connected to Ayup and the rest of them, I could understand. I could say, maybe there is a 30-40% that was up there due to this other witness report. But we've never had that in this case. And, I believe those knives, I don't believe those knives, anything was missing from that Airbnb. And I don't think he was armed. And like I said, Ayup certainly didn't see him with any knives. That's just hearsay from the MWT.
Which apparently we can't say where the head injury comes from, but they seem so sure it's just from the fall. And yet nobody comes out and says anything. And I personally, if someone I loved had said, I've been marked, and then went on to arm himself with knives, I think I would have something to say about that. But yet the new documentary that's going to come out pretty soon on Channel 4 is just going to be a slating of people on social media like myself and how people covered the case. But it's not going to be about how two middle-aged men made Jay feel like he was marked, how loads of people seem to appear at the Energy Festival related to the Tom Hilton case that night, and then Jay was terrified, armed himself with knives and ended up dead.
Yeah, that's a really good point Haley's made there. I think one of the problems we've got in this case is that a lot of people, it was deemed as an accident from the start. And just because basically the Guardian Civil came out and said that, and a lot of papers said that due to the witnesses, everyone deemed that that is right. And, you're going off road on this, but it's not. It's when you look into this case deep, you look at people like Ayub, you look at, the lies and basically the deception in this case and the fabrication of pictures and stuff like that. It tells you a whole different story. It's just that sometimes you have to go back to the beginning and then look at the change in their stories and the way they're acting. It just tells you everything. Nick Nack says in the chat, I don't even think he was at the Airbnb. I've never ever thought he was. I really don't. They're all lying. I can't get Jay's face out of my head. When he was in the festival, he was leaning down, and when he stood up, Tom Hilton was standing there, and it was him. It looked like every single one of the boys around him were all looking at Jay. He hadn't stolen anything. It's been over Tom Hilton, just in my opinion. Just want to look at the replies on this. Were you there? Did you see this with your own eyes? Or are you referring to the video on here? No, just my opinion. We allowed one. Yes, definitely. Brandon, the one for me, his brother and family, well known. Everyone keeping stum, even Debbie, as things will happen. Dangerous world he was in. He was just young boy involved in rugs with dangerous people. I agree. I agree. I've said that, but I don't think I think he just I heard he just done it for a bit of money because, like I said, he owed a little bit out at the end of the day. But like I said, I don't think that it was something Jay was 100% into. It was my son. I would scream from the top of my big mouth, who and why move and start again for my child or deal with these people myself. God bless you, Jay. Please, Debbie, speak up your truth. You know more. Well, if she does, she does. If she doesn't, she doesn't. This truth speaker. Hope you're well and thank you for your videos. Uh, Says what happened in the dark always comes to light eventually. 100. If it was the innocent when they all lied about things and missed so much out of what really happened in their interviews and podcasts. Definitely something leads to Jay being in the ravine. No way did he just happily walk through all of that. I've always wondered if he was even at the Airbnb because there's not one single photo of his face. That's another point. Up there, just a couple of snaps. I never believe was in. Justice for Jay. Jay Slater case is so sad. I believe Jay was unalive before the Airbnb. This is what I think too. I think unless the police have realised it's a revenge attack planned in the UK, I feel he won't get justice at this point. Justice for Jay Slater. It's interesting. I think it depends, Jacqueline, how much the family push this. Someone else goes on to say, we have to remember the family know the kind of dangerous people involved. They still have to live their own lives. The first thing was substituted as Debbie had pleaded for the authorities to take over responsibilities so they can't be blamed. Yeah, that's a really good point there at the end of the day. I do think that Debbie knew a little bit more, but not as much as what people thought at the beginning, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of it, she was waiting for this occasion to get her point across, which is fair enough. I think the True Crime Uncut podcast done an interview with someone who was at the court. She said that I marked remark means the bouncers had their eyes on him. Only thing is, they have edited the podcast since and removed bits that hadn't been released by media that they had said. That's interesting. Well picked up, Monty. Haley says, I don't see how they can say it after the fact what Jay meant. Yeah, definitely. I agree. That's a good point. Maybe the family don't want to say anything publicly. No one knows what they're saying behind closed doors. Definitely. Yeah, behind closed doors won't get justice for Jay. I agree. I do think he was scared and got lost and did fall, as they would have dumped him in an easier place. No, I don't think so. I really don't. Because, like I said, there's just no proof of him up there. Like I said, if one other public witness that's not connected to them lot, it would have been a different story. But we haven't seen that. Let's just hope some more witnesses come forward that are afraid to come forward at the start to tell us a little bit more. I find it all sad that so feel the truth isn't being told. I do too. Dowley. It's all been very fishy since the start. I feel for his family. Jay was still only 19. Yeah, he was still a young lad. Unfortunately, I don't ever think the truth is ever going to come out. Those who know are never going to say anything. If they were, they would have by now. It's very sad for the family that they may never have full closure for their son. Someone else says, baffles me why there's so much info but no investigation. Yeah, I think it's because, like I said, it's a lot to do with the Guardia Civil and the cover up there. And this is why I think it'll be very, very hard to get justice for Jay Slater. But it depending on, again, how far the family are willing to go on this. Justice for Jay, says Tekken. Thank Tracy there. Annette says he was never at the Airbnb that night at all. No, I think he was gone before that. Annette. Lulu says, I just feel more Jay will never get justice. As so many things hidden, covered up in lies. I do believe it was ever an accident, and if I was Jay's person, I would be fighting to the last breath to get to the truth of what happened. Yeah, definitely, Lulu. Definitely the same. All doesn't sit right with me. I understand your frustrations, as you said. It's only the family that can push for justice, but don't think they will. We'll have to see. We'll see how far they're willing to go on this, but I think the next Thursday and Friday will tell us whether this is going to go further or whether it's going to be adjourned again and then we go again, or will the family want to end it here and there as an accident. We'll soon find out, but I'm sure, I'm pretty positive that Warren and Debbie want the whole truth. And like I said, it's not looking good with the witnesses, obviously, knowing that this was all coming up, the coroner's case, and not one person attend, and the person who was attend wasn't even on the list. Someone says his telegram is still checked quite regularly within a week currently. Do we know his phone was found with him or not? Well, it was never stated, to be honest. I think the Guardian Seville kept that to himself. Let me know what you thinking, people. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment. And thank you very much. Have a lovely Wednesday.